Hey, good morning or good evening, depending on where you are in the world, Dr. Norsk. I don't know if you actually are a doctor, but you know what? I've already got it built up in my headcanon, so now you're Dr. Norsk. Welcome in. Hey, Cankles. What's up? Happy Saturday. It is almost that time. We're gonna keep hacking the dragon. Dragon, hack the dragon. Hacking Ball Z. Ugh. I wasn't pooping. All right. The timer is up. Let's kick it off. Whoop. Wait, where's the button? Where am I? There I am. What's up, everybody? I hope you all had a fantastic week. Sup, Bobby? Howdy, howdy. I hope everyone's having a fantastic Saturday. I was hoping today we were going to get to go out to the motocross track that we've got set up at my friend's property and work on the cross-country track. It hasn't been ridden in several months, and we've been busy, so the track is kind of overgrown, and that was the plan for today. And then freaking El Nino decided to come in and piss all over our parade, and it's just been raining constantly most of the day. So that's fine. That's fine. We didn't need to work on the track. We don't need to clean it up anyway. The only downside to that property is it's in a floodplain. So a little bit of rain, and we got a decent amount, but a little bit of rain goes a long way. Let's see, I'm just learning something about security for my DevOps role. So it's hard to stay updated to all this mess it happens in the world, but it's still intriguing. It is a constant battle. And so you don't necessarily always need to be up on the latest and greatest, but it is good to keep apprised of like what's going on and know how to figure out what's kind of happening in it. Security is one of those cool things where it's like a buff, right? If you don't know security, then it's going to be more difficult. But if you have a lot of basic understanding of the security fundamentals, it goes a long way. And then after that, you still improve with it, but it starts detracting a little bit more from like your primary role, right? But it's one of those great things that everybody should learn a little bit about. They always want to outsource the security part. And heck, I'm guilty of that for non-security things because this is my day job. But some things you just try not to outsource if you can, or at least have like an intelligent working understanding of them. And that's the way I like to do it. So in here, breaking things down, explaining them, having a good time, learning new things. It's just another day in hacking land. Oh yeah, good stuff. Rocking the orange Jocko. So oh, that's right. So yeah, Kankles brought up a good point. Wednesday night, if you really want to kind of just keep apprised of what's going on, pop it on the Wednesday night news stream, because there we're covering all sorts of interesting stuff that's happening from around the world in there. Things like, hey, this is kind of some of the new malware campaigns happening. Here's a new technique and how it's being used and where it could potentially be used. All sorts of fun stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I apologize for missing last Sunday's stream, you guys. I was just exhausted. I was still trying to catch up on sleep. I did that today. Managed to get like a 2-hour nap. And after dealing with a whole bunch of new BS that I shouldn't have to deal with, but unfortunately, some folks just don't know how to handle their own business, and so I handle it for them. That's the way I'm going to leave it. Fun part of cybersecurity is that it never ends, even when your job ends for the day. Bro, you're not wrong. You never like switch out of security mode at the end of the day. So like you might finish your day. That's one of the odd things about security, or especially if you're doing like incident response too, because then it's kind of like being a digital cop, right? You have rules of evidence, you've got evidence collection procedures, then you've got investigations. You never quite switch out of it. And I don't care, actually, not just for incident response. I mean, red team, blue team, purple team. Maybe if you're doing GRC, you'll switch off of it. but it's okay. I don't razz on my GRC folks very much because I am happy they're there. I'm happy they're doing that work, so I do not have to do that work. But yeah, you never quite switch off of it. You just kind of turn it down for the day. It's like, hey, yeah, you're doing your day work. You kind of turn that dial up to 11. You get your work done. And then at the end of the day, you just dial it maybe back down to about a 3. But it's never off. Security is the collective work of two sides. Yeah, pretty much. Always the people trying to... Wait, what was this? I didn't do that. Oh, wait, actually, I did do that. That's funny. I was like, where are these commands coming from? So to catch everyone up, we were supposed to work on this on Sunday. I apologize. I was just freaking exhausted. Sock was having a hard time even waking me up. I fell asleep before the stream, and she was telling me, it's like, babe, you are too tired. You need to take the night and get some sleep. And I was like, okay. She's hella smart. That's why I married her. Everything else about her was just the bonus. She's one of the smartest people I know. So... yeah, so I took her advice, which was probably wise of me. Got some extra sleep that night. But before we left off, we had rooted Cyrax. So we're root on the Linux box, and now we're probably going to be able to extract Kerberos tickets from this box to move us over into the Windows server. Server 1, I forget what it's called. Balerion, maybe? Heck, I don't remember. Hold on. Let me go pull up Bloodhound real fast. What was the name of that computer? I don't even remember. Let me see here. I just want to see a list of the computers in here. Yeah, or something like that. Actually, hold on. I know an easier way to find it. One sec. Let me come back over here. Let me clear this out. Cat, Etsy host. There we go. Yeah, it was Balerion. So, actually, no, we're on... yeah, we're on Cyrax. I take it back. Balerion, that's the domain controller. I recognize the IP address. So we're going to be working on figuring out how to get over into Vagar here. So once we figure out what to get from here, now there is something interesting on this. So if we go look up Balerion over in Le Bloodhound, let's go look at this. Oh, that was that was the go live message for Discord. It didn't copy. Yeah, when I was tweaking stuff for... when I was tweaking stuff in StreamerBot, it just completely bailed on sending the go live notifications. So I've been sending them manually. Okay. Why is this marked as owned? That doesn't make sense. Oh, no, this isn't owned. This is a high-value target, yeah. So now if we come down here and we look at our inbound object controls... there was one that was really interesting in here. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Maybe this wasn't where I wanted to see it, because I'm not seeing the edge that I know is in here. Balerion should have another edge in here. Drogon, no, he's a domain administrator. Local user is a FUD account. That's just an artifact of the lab. Who was that? Let me look at the Linux admins, actually, because he may be in there. I'm trying to remember exactly who we were looking at. Let's see. Who's a member of this group? This VM has been online for too long, and it's running very slow. Sessions? Oh, interesting. Vagar has a session to Rhaegal, who's a member of the Linux administrators. Maybe it was Rhaegal that we were looking at. Let me see. Let me see what his permissions are real quick. Nope, that's not the one. Hold on, let me make sure I'm looking at the right one. It was Vagar, right? That was the... yeah, Vagar's the Linux machine here. So it had a write SPN permission onto it. I gotta remember which one that was. Hold on, let me check the notes real quick. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Hold on, let me close this real quick. Let me try reopening this real quick. Where was that? Where's Callie? Here we go. Let me see if this speeds it up any. Maybe the chasm site was just crashing out on us. Yeah, reload. Okay. Nope, it is still running incredibly slow. Hold on, here's our notes. Let me see if I had a note on who had the right SPN permission. So this was just looking at how we got the initial shell on through GLPI's SQL injection. Let me check one more thing. Actually, hang on. If I didn't already do this, what I'll do is I'll set us up a C2 connection in Mythic as the root user. I don't think I did this yet. I think as soon as we got root, we were at the end of the stream. Yeah, so we only have the one. So let's do this. Then I won't feel so bad about rebooting this machine. We'll set us up a root C2 agent over on that machine. This one, Sunfire, died a while ago, but you know what? That's not a big deal. We don't need that one. What we need... My goodness, this is slow. Let me see. Maybe it was in this window. I don't think that was the correct one. Was it this one? I think that was our backdoor one. Yeah. Hold on. Let me make sure this is the correct... We're operating in the correct context here. Yeah, here we go. So here's where we actually got our in-packet ticket. So we got our TGT, and then we did SSH with GSS API authentication. So good. This is the one that we wanted. Excellent. Okay. So, let me see. All right, nothing in here. Home. Let's do home, and then... Hey, Kay the Cyber Guy. Thanks for going online, dude. Welcome in. All right, hold on. Let me look at Sunfire. Let's see if we can get our C2. There we go. All right, so let me copy that over real quick. So let's do good old copy of Poseidon. We'll put that right meow. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to run that, and we'll do... Ah, crap. What is it? I need to no-hub this. One sec. Let's see. I got to look up that command. No-hub a Linux command. Make sure I remember it, because it's be something like no-hup and then a attack option. Nope, that's it. Yeah, that should be it. All right, we'll just no-hup that. There we go. Because now what we should see is over here in Mythic. What are we working on? We're working on the... Oh, wait, that opened up a new one. We're working on the variant for the Game of Active Directory lab called Dracarys. So if you're not familiar, Game of Active Directory is a pre-built Windows Active Directory virtual environment. It's set up like damn vulnerable Windows Active Directory. Lots of machines in there. They all have different vulnerabilities to them that are unique to kind of Windows. There's a challenge version of it that goes through and says, hey, by the way, this is meant for you to like really stress your understanding and work through it. And it's only 3 machines, but you have to do a little bit more advanced stuff with some Kerberos. Nothing too crazy, but it has been pretty fun. Oh God, I just need to get this up where I can reboot this machine. Anyway, so that's what we're working on. And we're just kind of running through it and having a good time with it, exploring different options, looking at what might be it. Close already. I want to reboot this machine, but I wanted to make sure that Mythic was actually up and running. Okay, cool. There we go. We have our root connection right here. All right, let me do something real quick. Sleep 1 there. We'll wake it up a little bit. All right, that's good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go reboot this dang thing. Restart. Because then all we have to do is just come back into Mythic, hopefully, and that agent will pick right back up. We'll see what happens. I can't believe I finished this already. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. Normally, I wouldn't have finished this for a while, but I was exercising and eating dinner, getting the kids to bed right before the stream. And so it must have been extra thirsty. Yeah, very thirsty, apparently. All right. We did have to do, by the way, also to recap, there was an error in the lab itself. We had the technique correct. However, because it was using Kerberos, it's all based on timing. There was an error in the domain controller when we deployed the lab where the time was an hour off. And it was just some kind of weird deployment issue. So we actually had to go in through our backdoor account into the domain controller and manually reset the time to be correct. After we did that, bam, Kerberos authentication was working great. To prevent replays, Kerberos embeds timestamps into all of the tickets. So if the time was off by more than just a few minutes, it would have failed. And this was off by an hour. So obviously way too much for the failure. All right, let me pull this back up. It should be good. Yeah, there we go. Because this doesn't work. That means there's a bigger issue. I think it's just the VM. It might just be Royal TS throwing a fit. Let me see how well this is going to work. It looks like it's more responsive now. Okay, yes, it is looking a lot more responsive. Let's pop back into a TMUX session here. All right. And then what I want to do is, oh, good. So even though we had to reboot this machine and it's running our Mythic install, it did work. So the agent just kind of chilled in the background until the server came back up. Now we've got it back. Awesome. All right. Let's do this. So let's take a look out. So what we've got is we have this Linux machine. Do I still have my little excellent paint up? Oh, I don't. I lost my drawing. Hang on. I'm going to turn on OPSEC mode so I don't flashbang everybody horribly. No! Damn it. I lost my drawing. That sucks. Hang on. Boop. There we go. Now you're not getting the horrible flashbang. Hey, Code Warrior. What's up, dude? Happy Saturday. Okay. So here's kind of where we're sitting right now. We've got a Linux machine here. This is LX1 right here, otherwise known as Cyrax right here. Boop. And then we have another machine over here, which we're going to call Server 1. Server 01. And this one is, what did we say that name was? I forgot. Nah, dang it. Wrong button. Come over here. Cat Etsy host. What was that one called? That one was called Vagar. Okay, so that's Vagar. How do you spell that? Vagar. Vagar. So Vagar is our actual Windows server in there. And then we've got our domain controller, DC01, right here. Boop, boop, boop. And that one is Balerion. And I've never seen House of the Dragon, so these names mean nothing to me. I gave up on Game of Thrones during A Feast for Crows, which I think may have been the 4th book, possibly the 3rd book. But he introduced a whole new damn continent, and I was listening to it on audiobook in the car. And I'm like, bro, I can't keep a spreadsheet in the car to keep track of who the hell these people are. I don't have a wiki of Ice and Fire in hand to follow this. So I pretty much gave up on it. And I'm glad I did, because then I saw all the fallout for season 8 of the HBO series. And I was like, I bailed just in time. Knights of the Seven Kingdoms was the best of all the series. Is that a series of itself? Knights of the Seven Kingdoms. Is that another George R.R. Martin one? Oh, that is another George R.R. Martin book. Okay. Maybe I'll go check that one out. I've never heard of Knights of the Seven Kingdom. I'm currently reading Neuromancer. I decided to go back and revisit some of the classic cyberpunk. So I was reading... Okay. I'll put that on the reading list. Because I was going through and what was I reading? I read through some of the stories in Burning Chrome, which were Johnny Mnemonic, which was really cool. I liked that. Then there was something about Rose something. And then there was the actual short story Burning Chrome, which was really good. And then now I just started Neuromancer, like I'm on chapter 2. I've been reading it real slow. So I'm going through those, and then so I'll go through Neuromancer and then whatever the other 2 books are kind of in that series. That's what I've been reading right now. Because as much as I hate to admit it, I never read like a bunch of the classic cyberpunk. And after reading, and I tried Neuromancer before, but I always had trouble with it. And since I went back and I read the short stories and kind of got a better feel for what a complete story looks like in the Gibson style, it has made Neuromancer a lot more digestible. So it's kind of like working up to it, right? Yeah, so that's what I was going through, Chucky, was the short stories, and then the other one. And then like I was reading some of the short stories, and I'm like, this is kind of like weird Twilight Zone stuff. So then I realized you didn't really need to read them all to get prepped for Neuromancer. There was just those 3. Johnny Mnemonic, Something Rose, and then Burning Chrome. Those 3 kind of set you up for Johnny Mnemonic for Neuromancer. And Neuromancer actually has a really cool like introductory part to it. I liked it. Okay. Anyway, before I got sidetracked again. So this is where we're currently at. So we've got root on LX01 now. We did that by compromising GLPI, which is a web service on here. It had a SQL injection. We got NTLM creds. That let us get to the Sunfire account. So Sunfire was just a regular user on there. And then after we did that, we got... Crap, how did we do that? We went and we made our own machine account. That's right. I had to remember this. So Sunfire is a domain control. So this is like Sunfire at Dracarys. Dracarys. Yeah, whatever. I know I spelled it wrong. Go with it. So Sunfire is a domain account in here. That means Sunfire has a machine account quota in here of 10, which is the default. So then we use that to register a computer named root in here. Now, why would we do that? Because LX01 is a Linux machine. So this guy right here is Linux that is joined to Active Directory. So it's connected over here, which means they're talking Kerberos. And there is an issue with Kerberos's MIT implementation where a lot of times it will drop the $ from the name. So what happens now is we register root.dracarys.lab. That's the actual domain in here. So we register this account. Whenever we register that account, though, this computer has a user name that's actually like root$ in here. So then once we go and we recognize that, we get the Kerberos ticket for it, and then we use this Kerberos ticket to log back into LX01, it drops that $ right here. And when it does that, bam, it just drops us in as the root user on LX01. So because of that kind of $ mismatching, which is a well-known problem, I had actually never heard of it. We discovered it during this lab. Then now we're able to get root access onto this machine. So there's another account that we want to take a look at, which was, let me pop back in over to Bloodhound. I believe it was, let's see if this will bring it back up here. There we go, Rhaegal. So Rhaegal here, I believe, is the one that we actually want to get. He's a Linux admin. Let me see. Sessions, inbound. Nope, that's not the one we want. That's Vagar. Let me go look that one. Hold on, let me look at Vagar again. It should be labeled as an inbound execution privilege. There we go. Now it's showing up. So there's a constrained delegation user happening in here. Wait, that doesn't sound right. He had write SPN permissions on here. Hang on. Let me try something real quick. Let's do a cipher query. So match a user that has write SPN to a computer. And hold on, let me do this real quick. We'll do path p equals this, and then let's just return p. That'll give us the entire path on which ones have this. Let that run for just a second. There we go. Viserion, that's it. So Viserion here has write SPN permissions over to Vagar. So we might not be exactly where we need to be just yet. This is kind of where we're going. We want to get Viserion because then over on Vagar here, this would mean that we could then do a ghost SPN to get into server 1. So we need to see what we've got on this server first. So let's go do that real quick. Let's see. We're going to do this through Le Mythic right here. Okay. So what we want to look at is we want to go grab. We want to grab the key tab file. So let's do that real quick. It should be Etsy. What was that called? Let's just do Etsy. Let's see what files we've got in here. Because it should be something like curb, KRB5, something. There we go. I saw it. There it is. The KRB5 key tab file. So let's go ahead and download that. And then once we've got that, we can actually download it onto our system. And it's not very readable. If you look at it right here, let me drag this up. Ooh, Mythic Dragon right here. I want to see if I can see anything in here. Like we see something about the host for Cyrax, restricted curb host. Okay. So let's go do this real quick. We've got that downloaded. Let's come over here and see if we can figure out like what that file is. So let's do something real quick. Let's go to downloads, KRB5 key tab, and let's put that into our Dracarys folder. And then let's see what that file is in here. KRB5.key tab. So that's a Kerberos key tab file in there. So what we want to do is we want to check out, what was the name of that tool? I don't remember the name of the tool. Let's go find it. What we need, there is a tool in here. Let's see. This was not the window I wanted, but it'll work. Let's see. Extract Linux Kerberos KRB5.keytab file. Ooh, let's see if this works. Keytab extract is a little utility to help you extract valuable information from 502 type keytab files. All right, that might work. Let's go try this real quick. Always want to go this. Now this is an old tool. Notice this, but also this spec, this MIT Kerberos spec hasn't changed a lot. So it probably still works, even though it's a pretty old tool, 7 years old. Let's go look at it real quick. Oh, wow. Literally all we need is bin, ASCII, and sys. Okay. And it was already written for Python 3? Awesome. I don't have to worry about trying to do Python 2 backwards compatibility. Okay, cool. So all it's doing is basically just grabbing a bunch of stuff, hex encoding it, turning it to integers, and then just slicing through it byte by byte. Okay. Very cool. Excellent. So nothing like malicious looking in here. Always RTFC before you download it. So let's go grab this code real fast. Let's see if we can get a little bit extra information over here. So let's clone that down. Awesome. All right. Keytab extract. Oh God, why is this running so slow? Hang on one sec, guys. I'm going to try something real quick. This won't kill our session. It's just going to close our interface in here. And then let me bring it back up. Ah, damn it. Hang on one sec. I gotta pop into OPSEC mode, and I forgot. So Royal TS, which is the interface program that I'm using for that, is all like, hey bro, let's do some updates. I'm like, ugh, fine. All right, stand by 1 second. Let me fix the program here. All right, let me update this real quick, and then once that's up and going, I should probably come. I really liked Royal. However, Royal only runs on Windows and Mac. You see through the OPSEC. I can make it more OPSEC-y. Literally, all it does is it puts a hex filter over it, so it does hexagons behind it, and then it puts this static overlay filter on it. It's like I'm shoulder surfing. All right, hang on 1 second. Let me get this pulled back up. I think Royal was just up for too long, and it probably wasn't happy. I don't know the last time I turned this computer off. All right, come on. There we go. All right, should be coming back up now. Let me see. All right, good. We should be able to drop out of OPSEC mode. Let's see here. Oh, that was so much better. Yes. Wait, hold on. I praised it, and now it's... There we go. Okay. So I believe what we need to do here is just run our keytab extract.pack. All right. You know what? I didn't see a help menu in there. Usage. Keytab file. Okay. So let's just run that back. krb5.keytab. Here we go. Now we're cooking with propane. Let's check this out. Let's make a note of this. Copy selection. Okay. So after we went through and we did this, now what we have is we have the principal information for Cyrax. So we can impersonate Cyrax on the network and find out any other piece of information that we want that's related to that. Hold on, let me... Yes. Let's see if it can recover the data we were looking at. All right, let me take out this SSH debug in here. All right, so here's our notes. It's still so slow. Maybe I just need to reboot the server, but I'm not going to try to do that right now. It'll take it a minute. All right, I think we're at the bottom now. Okay. So let's make a note in here. Like these are our operational notes. Let's see. Mythic root C2 established. From root $SSH with, let's make a note here, with GSS API. Oh. Okay, so we got that, and then we got our keytab file. God, why is it running so slow? Let me close up some of this other stuff. Let's see, creds I want, let's see, get rid of DACLs, get rid of whatever this untitled is. Yeah, don't save. This machine should be fairly beefy too. I don't know why it's chug-a-lugging along. Since the server has plenty of resources and I'm not running that many ranges, I cranked this one up quite a bit. Okay, it seems to be more snappy since I'm closing these. Okay, So what we've got now is we actually have permissions to operate as Cyrax now. We have Cyrax's NTLM hash, and we also have an AES 256 and 128 hash. So we've got each of these we can use to go cut Kerberos tickets. So let's go see what permissions we're going to have as Cyrax in here. So we eventually want to get to Viserion, but right now we're going to kind of be stuck as Cyrax. Because it didn't look like anybody else had logged in from what we saw on the machine. In fact, here, let me show you real quick. So if we come through and we do, let's just ls home. We're only going to see Sunfire in there. Well, local user too, because we used the backdoor to double check a couple of things, make sure we were on the right path. But Sunfire is in here. So because we don't see any other home directories, the chances are any other account having logged into this box and having like a cached Kerberos ticket that we could go pilfer out of there isn't really likely. So for now, let's operate under the assumption that we're going to be working as Cyrax, and let's see where we can go with Cyrax in here. So from Cyrax, who's Cyrax a member of? Let's see. So it's a member of domain computers, authenticated users, everything like this. Let's see. So how are we supposed to go from... Actually, hold on. Let me check something else real quick. Now that I'm thinking about it. So that gave us permission to operate as Cyrax, but there's actually something else that happens in here. Let me show you on this, on the local machine real quick. So if we do LL on temp right here, right? On this machine, we'll see Kerberos tickets happening in here, right? KRB5CC 1000, right? So things that we've been doing. We didn't check that on this machine, I don't think. So let's go double check that real quick. So let's go look in the temp directory. Oh, I put in the wrong command. It's like, why is it not taking this? There we go. All right, so we see local user and we see someone else in here. So let's go download this one real quick. Let's go download this file and see who this is. I think that's us in here. I don't see anything in here. Does this say... Oh, actually, hold on. This says it's for Sunfire. So I don't see any credentials from this machine over to... Like, I don't see anything else in here. Let me go double check. Make sure I'm not missing something in here. There was this one for local user, right? Let me try something else here real quick. We already got the key tab information that we need. Yodi feted me. I don't know is it Yodi or Yotai? I don't know. But yeah, that's a wild story potion. What's up, dude? We'll cover it on the news stream, but preview of coming attractions. So apparently, PlayStation Network is outsourcing their age verification system to a company called Yoti, Y-O-T-I. And some guy on Reddit, so take this for how much weight that carries, was claiming that, hey, Van Flicky, thanks for coming online. Welcome in. So some guy on Reddit was claiming that Yodi's automated account verification system kept failing because his cell phone is running Graphene OS. And because of that, he reached out to them, and he got an email back saying, not only are we like basically locking your account for suspicious activity, we've notified law enforcement because you're running Graphene OS. Now, that user's information, like all of his posts, got scrubbed off of Reddit, so nobody can go back and kind of verify this. Other users have come through and said, I tried to duplicate this, and I can't even get the app to run on Graphene, which makes more sense. A lot of times, those kind of applications, if they detect root permissions, they'll just not fire, or if they detect that they're running on something like a non-standard anything, like if they for some reason have a beef against Graphene, they could see that the app was running on Graphene Android, and it would just not fire, basically crash out on you. That makes a lot more sense. I don't know how that was kind of expected in there. Let me see something real quick here. This is, hold on. DGT. It's not finding it. Damn it. What was that command we used? It was... Damn it. I lost it when we did this. Was it get TGT? Yeah, that was it. However, the one thing that is a pain is whenever we're... Damn it. What was that command we used? Hang on. Let me look at something real quick. What was the name of that command we used? Okay. I'm just going to have to do it again by hand. It's fine. This is fine. What is going on here? Everything is just jacked up. All right, here we go. All right, so get TGT, and then we want to give it the DCIP. I happen to have this up. That was 10.4.10.10. And then, hold on, where's our creds? Because we want to do our creds for the root account in here. Oh, wait, there we go. I saved it. Nice. Oh, wait, I saved the add computer in here. There we go. So let me grab this. So what we're going to do is we're going to request a ticket granting ticket for Kerberos from that. All right, let me drop this right here. Let's see, KDC wrong realm. Oh, I had a typo in there. How do you spell Dracarys again? Crap. There we go. Oh, I think I had an extra C in there. There we go. There we go. So now we got the root there. So now what we'll do is we'll do an export. Or not. That's fine. KRB5CC name equals, let's see, home. Who is this? Cali Dracarys root dot Ccache. There we go. And then now what we got to do is we want to SSH with... Actually, I just want to try this. Root at... What was the name of that machine? Cyrex. I think this may work. Nah, damn it. I thought we had made changes where it would automatically use the GSS API. Let's see. Hold on, I gotta figure out what that option was again. There it is. I had it up on the other monitor. That should be equals true. There we go. So now we're gonna tell it, hey, use Kerberos authentication to go get to this thing. Now, why are you failing? If you say there's a time difference again, I'm gonna be pissed. Unspecified GSS failure, no such file or directory. Did I do a typo on it? On the export? No, that should be it. KRB5 CC name. Make sure I've got this correct here. We know you respect your privacy, but we don't. Anywho, hope you like the feds. Open up! Can't find KDC for Realm Dracarys.lab. What do you mean you can't find it? We already had this all set up, damn it. Yeah, TagVV is this verbose logging in here. Yeah, so for some reason it's saying it can't find it in here. Let me try one more thing in here. Sometimes, usually if you give it the full path, it has no problem. Why is it saying it cannot find that? Can't find KDC for the realm. Hold on, didn't I? Let me see here. We should have that. The KDC should be set up as 1010 Dracarys.lab Balerian. Yeah, DRACARYS.LAB. Yeah, that should work. Let me just try, maybe this needs to be lowercase. I don't think it should matter. No, it's still saying it didn't find it. Why is it not finding... Someone else has suggested using TAC-K cankles, but this is what worked last time. Is it lowercase or uppercase? I don't remember. Let me try it real quick. I don't SSH with Kerberos very much, so this is a learning experience. Uppercase? Okay. Well, I mean, I don't think the problem is using the GSS API option. It's this right here for some reason where it's saying, hey, we don't have it. What is going on here? Let me find out something real quick. Let me see. There's two, actually, so there's two issues kind of compounding in here. Unspecified GSS failure. Minor code may provide more information. Actually, yeah, let's go check our Curb5 comp real quick. I thought we had that all set up in there. Let's see. I think that's in Etsy. Oh, you know what? I know why this is. Yeah, it's because we had done a different export. Hang on. You just reminded me. Let me just quit out of this. Yeah, we created it with NXC. Yeah, 44. That's it. Let me pull that up real quick. I believe it. There it is. That's it. So we did an export. Hang on. Yeah. Hey, 44, what's up, dude? Hang on. I got to remember where that is in there. Okay. So, yeah, that was it. We needed to do an export of that. Actually, hang on. Let me look at something real quick. Yeah. All right, hang on. Let me cat that real fast. Cat KRB5 comp. You know what? Let's just do something real quick. Etsy KRB5 comp. Let's move that to Etsy KRB5 comp dot back. Good old dot back file. Sudo. There we go. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move our KRB5 conf to Etsy KRB5 conf. There we go. That way I don't have to deal with this anymore. All right, so now we should have the correct one in here. Let's go try this again. There we go. Boom. Thank you, 44. Like I said, I don't do SSH over Kerberos very much because you don't see this kind of configuration a ton. But always fun to go back through. Yeah, so previously what I did is there is an environment variable krb5 underscore config, and we had exported that, pointed it to the custom krb5 conf that NXC had spit out for us, which 44, I believe you were the one who enlightened us that NXC could actually generate that krb5 conf, which is pretty cool. So once we had that all set up, then it was working fine. However, this time the machine was rebooted, that environment variable was wiped, so we didn't have it pointing to the custom one, meaning it didn't know where to go find the domain controller in here, the KDC, the Key Distributions Center. So I was like, you know what? I'm tired of messing with this. Let's just, we're going to wipe that. We're going to bring it back out. All right. So now we're root as Cyrex again. Let me try something real quick. Let me look in temp again. So we see a curb ticket here running as root. We see one running as local user. And then we see this one here running as Sunfire. So we don't have a Kerberos ticket for anybody else in here. I think that is a flaw in here. Let me look at something real quick. I got a sneaking suspicion that something else broke in the lab. Who do we have as Linux users? Let's go check our members here real quick. Stop. Just don't click and hold. There we go. So we have 2 members that are Linux users in here. All right, and Viserion is one of them. However, Viserion has not logged into this machine. I think that should have been the case in here. So there's only 2 options. Viserion's either logging in from server 1 or DCO1. So this lab has been up for quite a while. Let me go pull up Ludus real quick. Let's go get those machines a little reboot. Go check K-list? All right, let's go check it real quick. I tell you, we'll check that in Mythic right here. Shell K-list. I mean, K-list should only show like what we've got kind of set up for us in here. And like if we do the W command, only thing we see is we see root and Sunfire. So let me try that again. Make sure I'm not, because there's a lot about Kalos I just don't know. Maybe it's got like a TAC A option. It does. All right. TAC A. Let's run that. Exit status 1. Rip Aroni. Here, let's do something else. Well, no, because that should... Yeah, because what we should see in here is... This would be a nice, pretty information, but if we look in the temp directory, right? In here, we would see something else in here. In fact, you saw a new ticket versus what we ran when we SSH'd in. So if we come back over here, if the lab will ever catch up, there we go. So in the most recent version, notice how before, with our backdoor agent running in there, we didn't have this Kerberos ticket. We have it now because we logged in as root. But this one here, that was from local user who was a built-in account. That's a backdoor that we use to double check stuff. But then we see this one right here. Now, if we go look at in Bloodhound, if we go look at Sunfire, this was something else that we noticed, right? If we look at the RID, so Sunfire's RID, you can see it's real tiny right here, is 1111. So if we come look back over at the terminal, you'll see that it has like some kind of pre-designation of, we didn't figure out what these digits were, but this is 1111 right here. So if we were expecting to see Viserions in here, Viserions I think would show up as like 1110. So we would see another one in there with a different RID value. All right, Potion, take care, dude. Thanks for stopping in. I hope you have a wonderful night. Wonderful rest of your night. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go give these machines a little bit of a rebooty booty. Let me see. Come over to GOAD, members. All right, let's go ahead and we'll give server 1 a reboot first. Because these machines have been up for a long time. The Linux server's been rebooted. The DC's been rebooted. It might have been that a lot of times what will happen, I'm playing a little bit of inside baseball here, is that the CTF designers will need to have a way to basically plant credentials or ticketing material into the environment. So when they do that, they'll do it usually running scripts on certain systems. So let's say, for example, DCO1 or Server 1 had a script designed to log in as Viserion to LXO1 to plant his Kerberos ticket there. Well, since we rebooted LXO1 during some of our troubleshooting, it may have broken that script. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and reboot these machines to see if it will then plant those credentials for us to go capture them. Because I'm pretty sure that's the path we're going to be taking here. Let's see, we rebooted 134, which is this, so now let's go ahead and... Actually, hang on, let me make sure 134 actually comes up. Yeah, if there was a file to go inspect 44, yeah, we could do that. However, there's no file in there. We can see it by the file name, which user those Kerberos tickets in the temp directory are associated to. But there's not one in there for Viserion. We would have seen in Meow, if it'll come up. God, it's running slow. There we go. Right here, what we would have seen is we'd seen another file just like this one, but instead of 1111, it would have had 1110 here in this section. So, and you notice right here this is the root user Kerberos certificate that we created. So it's a bit of a breakdown of KRB5CC underscore the user ID and then a random appending of digits onto it. So we would have seen that same thing. We would have seen 178440 and then 1110 right here. Yeah. So that's why I'm going through and I'm doing this reboot, because I believe it may actually fix it. All right, server 1 came back up. So let's go back to the DC and let's give it a reboot. And then we'll wait for the DC to come back up, and then we'll go check it again. Another thing that could have broken this is whenever we were going through and monkeying with the clocks. Hey, Kaiju, what's up, dude? Here, let me show you real quick. This is the GOAD DRACARYS lab. Let's see, do I still have that up? I thought I still had it up over meow. Where did it go? Where did it come from, Cotton Eye Joe? I thought I had it up over here. I don't see it. Hang on. I'll find it. Ah, here we go. Yeah, here, let me drop a link into it here. Well, this is not the actual, this is the deployment guide. I want to get the, it's easy to deploy over in Ludus, but actually I want to get you the actual link to it from Mayfly. There you go. Drop that link for everybody. Let's go ahead and pin that one. Cotton-eyed Kaiju, that's right. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton-eyed Kaiju. Doesn't have quite the same ring as Joe, but I like it. I like it. Alright. Let's come back over to our attack box now. Let's see if we got a new Kerberos ticket in here. Come on, big money. We should see 4 tickets now. We've got 3 currently. Well, that sucks. Hang on, I'm trying to double check something real quick. Because from Cyrax, we don't really have permissions to do anything. It makes the most sense here. Since Viserion is a member of the Linux users group, Viserion should be logged into there, and then we could use Viserion to ghost SPN over to Vagar. So that's the way I'm thinking this should work. I'm wondering if there's a fault in the lab right now. So what I'm doing is I'm checking real quick because I want to see, I'm kind of digging through the code a little bit, which is cheating. But I want to see if there's a script to have Viserion SSH over into Cyrax and make sure it was going to work. Because, yeah, that should be... I believe that's the way this is supposed to go in here. Let's double check something real quick, though. Let's go look at Cyrax again. I don't believe Cyrax has any special permissions to it. Let's see. So it doesn't have any special controls to it. Let's check the inbound controls here. Don't think there's anything special here. No, it looks like basically what we'd expect inside of an Active Directory by the enterprise key admins, account operators. Account operators is always good if you can find a nested group under it. Let's go look at that, actually. Is there anybody nested under key operators? Maybe we're overlooking something. There we go. Let's see. Account operators. Who's a member of that? No members to account operators, because that would be nice. Because with generic all, it's real easy to go backdoor this. We could do... Oh, wait, that's on Cyrax, though. Well, it doesn't matter. Account operators, we basically have generic all permissions to more or less every machine and account on the domain, depending on some modifications. But it's a very, very highly privileged group. So if you find a group that's like recursively nested under that, and you compromise one of those users or a member of those groups, right, then you're in good shape because you kind of have like backdoor access to the entire network. You could go do shadow creds and then basically get onto that machine. You'd have a good time. However, it doesn't look like we can do that. Hey, Killa, what's up, dude? Those are in the temp or the C cache files, and you're in need of a different one. Yes, exactly. That's what we're looking at with this.
Oh, shit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
You're so full of crap, Killa. I know you can hear me. Don't lie to me, son. You can't handle the truth. Man, now I want to go watch A Few Good Men. Yeah, happy Saturday, dude. Man, I was so sad. So hold on, while I've got something working here, checking the lab, I've got Harvey actually digging into the scripts, so I can double check this. I specifically instructed Harvey, don't give it away, just check and see if this is the case, so I can double check if one of the machines might be busted. But I finally got the cold tub. I've got a cold tub here at the house. It gets water down to like 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's absolutely essential in the summer, because it's just god-awful hot in Texas, right? So, and my office is the hottest room in the entire house. All the computers, and it's in a particular corner of the house that gets a ton of sun. I'm just baking in here. A lot of times I'm just stewing in my own hacking juices while I'm working. So I got it all back together. Everything was looking good, and the freaking thermal probe on the chiller busted. So it's not reading the water temperature, it's reading the outside air temperature. And because it's right next to the radiator, it keeps auto shutting off because it thinks, oh God, the water's 140 degrees. I'm like, it's not, bro. It's not, I promise. So now I've got to go bypass the chiller. So I went and made a custom, let's call it a nipple in there. So I could bypass the chiller, take it out without having to drain the entire cold tub and take it apart. But then that got sidetracked by everything else I had to run today. Let me go, hold on. So I got something else to go check here. My God, why is this machine running so slow? Hang on. Let me close that. Oh, because Kali's memory usage is like off the chart. That's probably why it's running so slow. It's probably Bloodhound and everything else running in there. I was trying to figure out why that machine was running so slow. I'm sure Firefox isn't helping either. Hang on. Let me look at something else real quick. So there's another directory, varlib SSS. Let me go look in there real quick. And then, let's see. Let's go look inside secrets. Nothing in there. So the tool I was looking at was called Key Tab Exporter. So in my notes, I've got find key tab here. Well, we got the key tab file, so we can impersonate the Cyrax account to the domain. The problem is there's nothing Cyrax has special permissions to. So we're already root on the system. There, on a traditional Windows box, there's a way that we could use like S4U to self and S4U to proxy. That if we had the machine account, we could actually come in and cut ourselves basically like an impersonation ticket, so we could get onto the machine as a local administrator and have administrative permissions. So basically, moving from the machine context to like a local administrator or some kind of other admin on the box. And with that would work. I don't know how that works on a Linux system, but it doesn't really matter because we've already got root by doing the $ attack that we did. So what we really need is we have no new credentials, even though we've rooted this system. Let me check something real quick. We can check the ID for individual users. I don't know why I keep switching back to the terminal. Maybe I just love my terminal. Yeah. So what we probably should have seen in here is credential material somewhere in here for Viserion. But the only thing that makes sense is that Viserion would have logged in the same way we did and gotten a Kerberos ticket to do this. So, unfortunately, right now, we're fighting on two fronts. We're fighting the challenge of the lab, and then we're fighting mechanical faults in the lab, the way it was deployed. So let me try something here. Let's see. Let me try something. ID for Sunfire. That should work. Okay. Now, can we do this for... If we can do it for Sunfire, can we do it for Viserion? Even though he's not logged in. Viserion. I think I spelled that right. We go back. Go back. Hang on. Vice Ryan. Okay. I want to see if I can figure out what his ID would be. Okay, so no such user. So that means Viserion has never logged in. Oh, there is a typo. Vice Ryan. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this is what we would see right here. This UID. Let's try something else here real quick. Let's do... Yeah, so that would be his user ID. Let's ls temp again real quick. It's had some more time to bake. Maybe we got lucky. Yeah. Yeah, because we would see something like this one right here, but it'd have 1110. That's cool that we can figure out like what the user ID is for I didn't even think about that. That was a cool idea. I could always go backdoor into these other systems and go check. If I had to guess, it's probably running from server 01. I tell you what, let me do something real quick. I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to make a backdoor connection over to LX01 in here. So this is Vagar. And that one's going to be .11. I typoed that real quick, actually. You see local user and password. I think that's the login. Oh, you bastard. That's all right. I need to edit this anyway. Properties. That should be server 1. Did I set up the credentials for this? Hang on one second. Let me see. I thought I already had this one set up here. I didn't set up any credentials? Okay. That's fine. That should be server 1, Vagar. All right, let's see. / local user and password. Certificate authority? What the hell? Well, that worked for him. Hang on one second. Let's do... I get us to work. Task manager. I want to see what this script running here is. We don't have all of our very cool hacking tools here. There we go. That doesn't show it. I think I can actually show it up here. Select columns. Job ID, package name. I believe there's an option in here to show the command line. Commit size, page pool. Command line, there we go. Boop. Okay. Yeah. All right, that says that. I don't think that's the one that I want to use, though. Let's see. Let's see. Local user. Password. You're killing me, Smalls. We did inspect the key tab file 44, and we got the information for Cyrax, but we didn't get the other info. Peaches?
Peaches, what are you doing? Who's your good girl? Did mommy let you out?
The scary thunderstorm.
Yeah. Is it still going on?
No, it's rough.
Oh, why are you wet, Peaches?
She's slobbering on you.
Ah. Hang on one sec, guys. Peaches. So I had Peaches in her bed because she gets scared whenever it's thundering, and we had a thunderstorm come through, and now she just slobbered all over my hand. So hang on a second. I'm gonna go wash my hands before I get back on the keyboard. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. All right. Why is this acting up? There we go. Fix the hole in the tear of the fabric of space and time. All right, so I don't know if this is the correct server that we're looking at here, because this is something different. But what I'm trying to figure out is where this is actually coming from. All right, let me go look at something real quick. Let me go pull up the lab here. Let's see. Yeah, so it's supposed to be on server 1. Right there, bot SSH. Okay. So that's what I was expecting. So something's wrong with server 1. Just for some reason, I can't connect over to it. Let's see. What else could we do here? Let me try something real quick. Oh, that's right, because that should be Dracarys local user. There we go. Because it got converted to a domain account when that happened. Why is it throwing such a bitch fit? Let me look at something real quick. It could be this is a timing issue. So there's the Viserian's login. Sleep for 45 seconds. So it could be that, hey, we just need to keep watching that directory. Let's go do something real quick here. Let's go try something. It could be that those credentials are basically being created and then destroyed when we do that. So maybe we're just supposed to keep an eye on that directory for it. Come on, anytime now. There we go. So we're not seeing it in here, so let's do this. We're gonna watch for it. Your kill will be smalls. Let's see. LS, LA. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to monitor this directory and see if we see a new Kerberos ticket pop up. If we do, then what we'll do is we'll grab the name real fast and we'll go download it. Let's see, what's another way to kind of like just monitor for when a file gets created? Let me think about that. Because then we could go through and we could do it that way as well. There's a file system listener. Hey Palmer, what's up, dude? Let's see. I notify wait. I've actually never used that before. Watch specific directory do this. 3D designing Q. Dude, I still dream about when I could actually have a workspace to begin building like a fabrication area. All right, I think we might be able to make this work. I thought I gave this machine enough resources, but it is being a turd and a half. Oh my god, you're so slow. There we go. All right, so format, path to directory. That would be temp. I don't know what this format is. Let's just take that out of there. Because I think that's what we want is... Actually, here, I found a snippet where somebody actually was looking for this. Let's see if this might work a little bit better here. Temp format F. So while read F do. That's copy. Let's change that to, instead of dev shared mem, let's change that to root. Okay, here we go. So now what we could do is we could actually just run this, let it kind of chill in the background, and if it actually sees the file, it'll grab it real quick and then move it. But we saw we should have some time to do that. What's up, Peaches? Do you need to go outside? I don't think you want to go outside. It's still thundering out there. Poor babe. She never used to be scared of thunder, and now for some reason she is. I have no idea why. All right, we'll let this run. I notify wait not found. Damn it. Let me look at something real quick. So here's the bot SSH script. So what this should do is, I believe, run in a loop, and basically, here's the username and password, and then just sleep for 45 seconds.
Do you need to go outside?
Oh, you're a pain. You're a pain, Peaches. Hang on, guys. Be right back. All right, I'm back. She is such a dumb little dog. So I give her a treat. Anytime I've got to put her to bed, I give her a little treat. And usually it's like a little like freeze-dried liver bite. She loves those. But I forgot I had some like basically like prepared chicken feet. Dogs freaking love them. And they're good for them too. So I gave her that. She didn't touch it the whole time. Sock lets her out. She immediately runs over to me and slobbers all over me. Then she runs back to her bed, grabs the chicken foot, brings it into my office, and crunches the crap out of it all over my carpet. And then she's begging to go outside while it's still thundering. It hasn't rained, it's just thundering a lot. On the plus side, Sock made me tea. How can a sock make me tea? Because she's the supportive, organized caregiver. Let me see something here. I might need to just add more RAM to this computer. Let me see something else real quick. Hang on. So this is our bot SSH. Hey guy, what's up, dude? No, I have memory on the computer. I'm just talking about the actual VM. So in the virtual machine, this machine's got 16 gigs, which normally is plenty for it. But I guess because I'm running Bloodhound and because I'm running Mythic, it's just like nom nom RAM, nom nom. So yeah, there's something wrong with Cyrax. Or not, sorry, Cyrax. There's something wrong with Vagar. Because this part right here, this scheduled task, right? It should be firing every minute. So if it's firing every minute and we're not seeing it after we were sitting there watching it, let's go set up another watcher real quick. Watch LSLA temp. Hang on. I'm going to set a... What the hell happened to my watch? There we go. Hang on. I'm going to set a 1-minute timer. We're going to sit there and we're going to watch this sucker. Okay. I'm out of sync everywhere. Dude, I really am. Okay, so I got the 1-minute timer going. What we're going to do is we're going to wait to see, for 1 minute, do we see another ticket appear in here? And I think it actually may have happened while I wasn't paying attention, which sucks. But if what I'm understanding from this is correct, right? If this is set up with a schedule task for 1 minute and the bot was meant to sleep for 45 seconds, there should only be a 15-second window that we don't see that ticket in here. So something is wrong with Vagar and it's not being able to execute the SSH over to it. Let me go give Vagar another reboot here. Actually, you know what? Let's just console into Vagar real quick. So there's the 1 minute. We didn't see anything happening in here. Tell you what. Reboot. Continue. Let's reboot it again. Why is this all messed up in here? Oh, by the way, Kenko Bunny. So Mythic is a command and control platform that I absolutely love. And it is very cool. So we set up, so we don't have to constantly be working through the SSH connection and have a little bit of handy dandy stuff. We set up a Mythic listener on there to call back over to us and be able to connect in. So we had a user shell for Cyrax that eventually died, but now we've got the root shell, and we can always just root back into it if we need to. The red string over the wrist? Not quite. The red string over the wrist is a little cross bracelet that Sop gave me. Okay, so why did it return a false here? I tell you what, let's just do this real quick. So, CD here. Let's cat bot SSH PS1. Let's just go try this real quick. Call that 2. And then let's just open that up in Notepad real quick. I tell you what, let's just copy that. Don't save. Oh, wait, was there a typo in it? Oh, I think I had an extra. No, that should have worked right there. So we want this. Let me try something real quick. We're just going to debug this. I don't think there's a typo in the script here. What is going on here? Program files. Putty. Link. Oh, it wanted it in single quotes, not double quotes in this. Okay. The way we're running this, I want that in double quotes. We do need the and in front? Okay. Unable to open connection because host does not exist. So what do we set as the host in here? Host is Cyrax. Hold on. That should have worked though. NS lookup Cyrax. Here, let me see if I can make this a little bit larger for y'all. It's kind of dinky right now. Unknown host. Cyrax.DRACARYS.lab. Hold on. Did I spell Dracarys right? Drac, A-R-Y-S. Nope, I did spell it right. Drac, A-R-Y-S. Okay, so that resolves, but for some reason Cyrax doesn't resolve. That's the error here. Okay, let's go change that real quick. Maybe we can get this to work. Notepad, bot SSH, PS1. For some reason, it's not liking... Let's see. Drac, A-R-Y-S. We're fixing the lab and working on it. Just like that. Okay. We go and close that, and then what we should see here in just a second is we should see another one pop up in about a minute whenever that scheduled task fires. Have I ever been into occupied Palestine? No. I've never been across the Atlantic. I want to. I just haven't had a chance to go. Hey, Monkey, what's up, dude? I keep thinking you're talking about Cyrax, the CPU manufacturer from decades ago. Not exactly. Not exactly, good sir. Let me see. Let me just go ahead and run bot SSH. Really? Drac ARYS. What do you mean the host does not exist? Oh, because I'm an idiot. That should be .lab. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Come on, wake up. There we go. So this is what I was talking about. Now we've got it in here. All right. Kill it. Kill it. Let me copy it out before it dies. Copy, temp. Here. Had to reverse engineer the lab. You didn't think you'd learn so much about lab design, did you? Okay. So yeah, there we go. Now we've got it in here. So if we come back over to... Hold on, let me go back over to this. I want to see what happens. Okay, so it ran it, and then it died out, and it just kept going. Okay. I don't care. We already grabbed a copy of it. Let's go pop over into Mythic real quick. And let's go grab a copy of that real quick. So the scheduled task was supposed to emulate a login from Viserion to just cash the Kerberos ticket on Cyrax as the gimmick. Pretty much, yeah. A lot of times CTF designers will use that as simulating like a legit user workflows. So you saw that a lot with like CTFs where like it's a exploit against like a mail server, right? They'd have a script set up to constantly be like reading the mailbox and looking for new emails as like phishing simulations. And this script was designed to like get the email, get the download, execute it, look for certain things, right? All right, so now we've got his. So let me download that. Yep. Okay. And for some reason, the lab was just not firing it properly. Oh my goodness, you're so slow. Let me change something real quick. Is appearance, transparency, 0. There we go. That might help speed it up a little bit here. Nope. It's just running slow. Emails are just going to be shackles for the men when the government becomes tyrannical. Maybe. Dude, everything is these days. We were just talking about earlier about there was a claim from a random user over on Reddit that supposedly they had gotten an email from Yotai, who is a age verification platform used by the Sony PlayStation Network, and that because they were trying to do like the age verification on their phone and it wasn't working, and because they were using Graphene OS, they basically denied their account and then said, by the way, we've informed law enforcement that you're using Graphene OS. Ooh. Okay. Let me go grab this real quick. Downloads. Let's see. Yes. Copy that to here. KRB. Let's see. KRB5. Call this Viserion. There we go. And so now let's do this. Let's do. I think I can just do it this way. KRB5 CC name equals, let's see, home root. No, that's not right. Home Cali. Dracarys KRB5 Viserion. And then let's use that to run netexec and see if it's going to work real quick. So then that should be SMB. Let's go to Valerian dot Drac RYS. A lot of ISPs won't open ports if you self-host an email. Oh yeah, no, they definitely don't want that. Like, oh, you want to self-host email? No, not on my watch. Let's see. I think we need TAC K, and then hold on. There was one more option I needed. Use Kcache. Oh, you know what? I didn't tell it where to go log into because I am smart. This should have been after here. TAC U Viserion at RAC.lab. Don't think it liked that. We'll make this 2 commands then. We'll just have to keep track of which one we're using. Vice Ryan. Did I spell Dracarys right? Nope, I did spell Dracarys right. That's what it was. A-R-Y-S. There we go. Yeah, I keep spelling it wrong, and that's what's killing me. Alright, let me see if I can... I thought that would work. Then again, we had problems with NXC doing this anyway. Oh, damn it. Yeah, mother. Spelling was always my worst subject in school. I'll be real with you. Be very real with you. It's always the worst subject in my school. That'd be an $80 ticket here in Poland if they called the cops, although you ask for a diversion program. Wait, hold on. It'd be $80 for them just calling the... who would be charged the $80, Ken? That's what I'm wondering. Oh, Portland. I saw Poland for a second. I was like, dude, you're not... I didn't know you were in Poland. Wasn't Larian supposed to release something about Baldur's Gate 3? Dude, I would love to play Baldur's Gate 3. Because Baldur's Gate 2 was a really, really good game. I think I sunk... I didn't play it super hardcore like everyone else did. Even though I really want to go back and visit it. But my first playthrough was like 120 hours. Bro. At the rate I play games, that would take me 6 months to get through it. I was joking. The cops don't even know what Graphene OS is. Yeah. All right. Hold on. Let me try this again here. Oh, you know what? I'm also an idiot. This should have been Dracarys.lab. It probably can't even resolve the host. Ticket expired? What? What? It's bullshit. What you mean, ticket expired? Everyone knows Graphene OS and all the other specialized groups have people that design their own stuff. Oh yeah, man. They do. Actually, I was thinking about that when I was reading. When I was watching a video because Potion had sent one in the Discord in the news thread for Wednesday, and so I had that playing while I was in the shower. Actually, I just put my phone up like out of the water spray and just had the volume cranked up. And from what they were saying is like, yeah, that's what a lot of these people assume is like, oh, if you're using graphene, you got to be some kind of a criminal because of that. And it's like, well, yeah, but it's also the people that are creating exploits for stuff. He specifically mentioned like NSO Group and some of those. They're just hoarding those to keep them for these other stuff. There's a whole big deal that goes on with it. Hey, Snuggles, thanks for coming online. Welcome in. I hope you were having a stupendous Saturday. All right, what is going on here? God, it's slow. So we've got a new one here.
let's go grab that real fast. So now we've got 6EHUJ1. Oh, you know what? Oh, you know what? I just realized something. Oh, what was that? This is Balerian. Hang on. Let me do something real quick. I wonder if the clock is messed up. Hang on. Let me go try this real quick. I think the time might be messed up here. What is this? Get... Crap, what was the command? Get date to universal time. Okay, hang on. Because this was an issue we had to go fix. We had to fix this on the other machine.
Welcome, agent.
Hey, guy, thanks for the resub, brother. What's that? That is 8 shells you popped. Yay! I need to add that, actually. That should go into the TTS queue. All right. Yeah, I think we're dealing with the time drift again. Because this is showing Sunday, June 7th at 2:04 a.m. Sunday, June 7th. No, actually, the time looks correct. 2:07 a.m., Sunday, June 7th. 10:06 p.m. No, the time actually looks correct. Okay. So we're not dealing with like some kind of weird issue like that. Let me relist this and go try it again. Because now we should have a second one in here. Let's download that. Let's go give this another try. Come on. Don't fail me now, computer. Wait, that's Cyrex. Hold on. Need to be over here. I'm on the wrong window. Why? Why? Why are you doing this? Oh, because I didn't download it. I'm an idiot. I downloaded it to the server. I didn't download it to the computer. There we go. So that should be 6Z in here. Why are you being a turd? Did I grab the wrong one? I sure as I sure did. Yeah. I think I'm an idiot. I think I'm an uber smooth brain right here. I was grabbing the one for Sunfire. I wasn't grabbing the one for Viserion. Smoothest of brains. Not even a 1 micron drift. Yeah, 44. Yeah, that's what I just realized. Don't crash the buffer. Dude, crash the buffer all you want. That's why I built it. This whole thing up here? Yeah. I even added a new animation. I didn't see if it worked because I want to extend it to like play a little longer. But yeah, it like shoots like little hex digit sparks out of it. Oh, the clock is off. Damn it. What was that command? I think it was NS. Is it NTP? I think it's NTP update. Command was fix skew, please. You stop. I know, right? Is it time? Damn it. Well, when I rebooted the box, all the command back scroll didn't get committed. I thought it was NTP update. Hang on, I'm trying to find it real quick. Is it NTP date? There we go. And then I think we do TAC U in the IP address 10.4.10.10. Son of a biscuit. Ow. Stop. It's so slow. All right, hang on. So the problem here is I need to go resync the clock over to the DC. I think that will fix it. Actually, no, it should already be synced right there. Actually, no, I think this means there's the skew here. Are you gonna do anything? Come on. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. I think I just crashed the computer. Okay, hang on. This is gonna piss me off royally. Let's go do something real quick. Hardware. Let's see. Memory. No, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Where's Kali? Here we go. Memory. Edit. Let's see. What is that? I don't remember my power is a 2. 32,768. There we go. Set. There we go. And then now I'm going to reboot that computer. Sudo reboot now. What's your favorite language model for local CLI stuff? I currently tend to use Claude right now. Although I have access to Codex as well. I've been meaning to play with more open source models. However, I have a lot of like free usage because of some hookups I've got for Claude and for Codex. So there's other ones I've been wanting to go try. Like I could go take Codex and plug it in over to OpenCode and go test that one out as well. Honestly, those are the ones that have just been working. Oh, local LLMs. I don't have a lot that can run them very well. The server has a lot of RAM, but it's not VRAM. I don't have any beefy graphics cards. There was a new Gemma 4 model that just came out that some of my buddies were saying it was working very good. Quinn 3627B has been good for a daily driver. Is there a quantized version of that, Monkey? Because on this computer, I do have a 12 gig 3060, so I can run some models on it. You tried to get them 4 on your phone? That's awesome. Okay, yeah, use the unsloth quants. Okay. I need to go give that a try and actually, like, see how well it does. Alright, hopefully this will be running a lot smoother now. Although, unfortunately, I think I'm going to have the same problem where the back scroll got eaten in here. Alright, our root shell is still up, so that's good. Llama CPP is kind of like a local LM inference. Yeah, it is. And Ollama wraps Llama CPP, but it doesn't get as good a performance. However, Ollama is also very easy to use. So a lot of people will start by using Ollama to run local models. It helps out a lot. Oh, is it the king of it? Yeah, I mean, I don't know of one that's doing... The only two that I've messed with are Llama CPP and Ollama. I haven't tried any of the other ones. Just because once I found something that works, I kind of just stick to it. Oh wait, it already loaded me into Tmux. Nice. Okay. CD to Dracarys. Here we go. VLMs could be better for parallel serving. See, I haven't messed with any, like, running models in parallel, though. Alright, let's see. I just noticed the camera makes my beard way redder than it actually is in real life. I wish it was that red. I think it's just a combination of the lighting. I probably need to go through and adjust it. Let's see. I wish my beard was that, like, gloriously red in real life. Let's see. We still have our NXC command. Did it save? Oh, good, it did. Okay. Okay. It does seem to be running a lot better now with the additional RAM. Let me see how it's doing over on the Proxmox side. That is not correct. Oh, you know why? It's because I did a reboot. I didn't do a power down. But you know what? It's running just fine. I think it might have been Bloodhound actually kind of jacking it up a little bit. That's all right. Got Lord of the Rings vibes. For VRAM, I have only 12 gigs on the 3060 that's running on my gaming computer. But for the server actually has 256 gigs of system RAM. So that's why I'm able to run so many virtual machines at once. Hey, but the good news is we now have a ticket for Viserion. Nice. Nice. So that is awesome. So now what we can do is... So after we went through and backdoored the server and went through and fixed the script, then we were actually able to go get our session there. I'm curious to something real quick, though. Hang on. I want to go... I want to see if it's still properly cycling now that we fixed the script in there. Because it looks like it was having a DNS issue. Sponsored by SOC for 14 years. Damn. Doesn't feel like that long. Looks like our Cyrax callback died. Well, that is unfortunate. Hold on. Let's go fix this quick. Export KRB5CC name. Let's go fix this real quick. So this should be damn it. Hit enter too soon. I fat fingered it. My fingers are all fat. Let's see. Home, Cali, Dracarys. Oh no, what was that file? Damn it. I need to set the correct Kerberos ticket for it to use. Root.ccache, that's what it is. All right, there we go. That should get us back into root real fast. And then we can go reestablish our C2 connection. Oh no, now what are you doing? Clock skew, too great. I guess... Damn it. Let me try something. Actually, I'm curious about something right here. Hang on. I don't know if this will work. I wonder what happens if I put the root machine's password in there. Will it actually work? I don't think it will. I think we have to go through the Kerberos method. Which means we got to go fix the clocks. We'd have to go fix the clock on the freaking LXO1 server. God save me from clock skew. Alright, so that didn't work. I thought I had a cron sync set up in there. Not a cron sync, but a time sync setup. Alright, hold on. We'll just do this. Because local user actually is coming in very handy for backups to this. SSH to local user at Cyrax dot dracarys.lab. Because he's a sudo user with no password, so we can just sudo up immediately on him. And then we can go fix the clock skew. God, this is annoying. Time sync status, let me see. Let me try restarting time sync D real fast. And then we'll check the time date control status. Okay. I think TAC Z will show UTC time. TAC U. Okay, so yeah, this is showing 3:23 a.m., but on the DC, we're showing 2:23 a.m. So it's off by like exactly 1 hour. That is annoying. Why? What is going on here? Let's see. So timesync D for the server for some reason. Yeah, I'm guessing daylight savings time has all like screwed it up. Let me check something real quick. Time, date, control, status. Do we have NTP date on this machine? We do. Okay. Let me check and see. 10, 4, 10. All right, so now if I check the status, what are we looking at here? It should hopefully show 2 a.m. Okay. All right, so that's working. Golly, man. I'm glad I double checked that SSH section there. Let me back out of this real quick. And let's go try SSHing back in as root. Oh, I forgot to turn off the verbose logging. Okay. That fixed that. Good. Hold on. I'm going to do something kind of funny here. Which is I'm going to send that command. Let it kind of refresh and do its thing. Okay. Exit out of here. I'm going to exit completely out of this shell and tmux. Sudo shut down now. Let it shut down. And then whenever it restarts, we should see it power off. It will swap in the new RAM. And then hopefully then the performance issues won't be a problem. We do set time zone. Well, we could try that too. For some reason, I don't know why this server wants to default everything over to East Coast time instead of Central time. By the way, awesome username, Epistemic Anarchist. Excellent. All right, let me power this machine back on, and then we should see, good, now the memory's been boosted up to 32 gigs. And it should boot up fairly fast. So we'll give it just about, I don't know, 10 seconds or so, and then we should be able to connect over to it. I didn't realize we were going to spend so much time fighting clock skew and debugging the lab. I was hoping to get to the shadow SPN stuff again in here. There we go. In fact, that's probably epistemic, that's probably a good idea to run on the Kali box here. And let's go ahead and set that. There we go. Tmux. And then let me blow this up a little bit. Okay, let's do that. Let's see. Sudo time date control. We do this. Time date control, and then it's set time zone. America, Chicago. Let's go ahead and set that. And then let's do time date status. So even this one's still showing 3 a.m. instead of that. So NTP date. Let's go sync it back over to the domain controller. There we go. All right, everything in the lab should now have their clocks properly synced up. Even though this is now off, this should be 22:30. Freaking clocks, man. Let me go see if I can get the SSH command to run again, though. Okay. If Kerberos is... So what this was doing was using a Kerberos ticket we had for the root machine account that let us in as the root user on the Linux box. Because of that, we know it works. The clocks have to be in sync. Okay. Good. So we'll back out of that for now. And then, let me see, NXC. Let's make sure this is going to work. Logging in, just checking our connection as Viserion over to the domain controller. That worked. Okay, good. We're cooking with propane now. Well, let's go plan out what we need to do. Let me just see if, like, this command will run. Okay, it's still working, even though the last checked-in time is all jacked up. That's fine. It's still alive. We're good. Bloodhound has decided to, like, quit life. Let me see here. Opt. Unknown command. What's the command? Let me bring it back up here real fast. Oh, it's just up. There, up. There we go. Let's get this back going. Let me go look at something real quick. Let's look at the CPU usage when we turn this on. Got a few little spiky spikes happening here. But what happens? Actually, I'm surprised it didn't spike it up very much. There you go. It's running a lot better with the extra RAM now. Okay, so what we are is we're Viserion. So this is the plan. This is the attack we're going to plan out for tomorrow night. So if we come look at him and check out his outbound object controls, he has the right spin over to Vagar. So with this, what we can do is, let's go ahead and mark Viserion here as owned. And so what we can do is, I gotta remember how to do this. Because we can write an SPN over to this, if you're ever curious, like you can actually come back here and click on this, the edge for this, and Bloodhound has like really handy information about this. So in general here, that user has the ability to write service principals. So if we come over to like Linux abuse in here, we could do a targeted Kerberoast over to that machine if we want to do that. But there's a better way to do this, which is doing a ghost SPN. Hang on, I had an article up about that. Where was that attack in here? I thought I had it up. I don't guess I have that tab still up. Hang on, let's go find it. Ghost SPN Windows. List accounts with service principal names not linked to active DNS records in the Active Directory domain. So now we can do that differently here. This one is a tool looking for it. Windows, let me see. Elon. Because I know he's probably written about this. Maybe SPN jacking has it in here. Service account configured with the Kerberos constrained delegation can impersonate users on a set service. The set service is specified in the constrained delegation configuration. So it's a list of the service principal names written in the MSDS allowed to delegate to attribute on the KDC's service object. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Bobby. Let me grab that real quick. Because this might be what I was originally looking for. Oh, yeah, here we go. From Elat Shamir. Big brain, pwns all the windows. So the TLDR here, suppose an attacker compromises an account set for constrained delegation, but doesn't have the SE enabled delegation privilege. So the attacker won't be able to change the constrained delegation. However, if the attacker has write SPN rights over the account associated with the target SPN, as well as another computer or service account, the attacker can temporarily hijack the SPN, assign it to the other computer or server, and perform an S4U attack to compromise it. Also, if the target SPN is not currently associated with any account, the attacker can appropriate it similarly. Yeah, that's what this tool, I closed it. That's what that other tool was looking for machines that have SPNs associated, but there's no host name looking at it. Hang on, let's go look at something real quick. So if we look over here at Vagar, right, we see the service principal names, the SPNs associated to it. Hold on, there we go. Right here, just above my head. So the format for these is the service / the machine. Service / machine. And a lot of times it could be either the short name or it could be the FQDN name in here, right? So what we're going to do is since we have write SPN permissions, we're going to write a service principal over to this, right? Now, actually, there's one more thing we need to find out was if any of these machines have delegation permissions. So, let me see. I think there's actually already a built-in query for that. Let me change something here. Platforms, maybe? There you go, just Active Directory. Let's change that. Systems trusted for unconstrained delegation, but that's not what we want. If I run this, nothing's going to come back. We don't want unconstrained delegation. What we want is... we want constrained delegation. So what we're looking for is a particular thing in here. So you create your own ghost spin that doesn't exist, but you can use it basically. Yeah, kind of, because we've got a couple things we can do here. We have control over Cyrax. We have control over basically the root machine that we spun up that doesn't really exist, but it exists as a valid account in there. So we could either use root or we could use Cyrax in there to basically add an SPN, or we could overwrite one of the SPNs in here. I don't know if write allows us to add a new one or modify it. That's one we got to find out. But what we need to do is we need to figure out which machines are trusted for any kind of delegation in here. Let me check something real quick. Let me check Cyrax. I mean, we could do this the smart way in here, which would be actually like if we had a large environment, we want to go check it, but we should be able to actually check if this one, I believe, is trusted for delegation. False. Okay. What is the delegation I'm looking for in here? Let me look at something real quick. Make sure I'm not missing something. Well, it ran the cipher query on here, which it shouldn't have done, but all this is basically highly trusted accounts and machines in here. That's nothing that we want. Let me take this out real quick. Let's see. Match C computer, and then just return C. What this will do is it'll give us a list of all the computers in the network, right? So there's our fake machine that we made. So yeah, I was making sure we didn't have like any dangling computer accounts in here. Let me see. Let me go back over to... Actually, yeah, because I'll need to... I honestly, it's been a little while since I had to deal with it, so I need a refresher on Kerberos delegation. So the Kerberos delegation mechanism that allows a service to impersonate users to other services. So for example, a user may access a front-end application, and the application may in turn access a back-end API with the user's identity and permissions. So Kerberos delegation has three flavors. Unconstrained, we don't have anything configured in here. Constrained delegation, and then resource-based constrained delegation. So constrained delegation is... I'm trying to remember. I should know this, like, because we did so much of that in the Red Team Ops course. Unconstrained basically takes a copy of your Kerberos ticket, your TGT, which is akin to like your password, right? It's a full identity passport that you could send, and as long as you have that, you can impersonate and act as that user. Unconstrained delegation takes it and sends it to another machine, and then lets that machine use your ticket to act as you. So it has to be a forwardable ticket. Constrained delegation was a little bit more restricted on that. I don't believe you sent a TGT. I think it was sending a TGS with particular parameters over to the machine. Resource-based constrained delegation was actually configured on the server itself, saying these particular services are the ones allowed to impersonate these. Actually, hold on. Eli goes through it here, so I don't have to try and drag this out of my memory. Unconstrained delegation requires a user to send their ticket to the front-end service so it can use it, right? Hold on. Here we go. Constrained. Because this is the one I was blanking on. Allows the front-end service to obtain a Kerberos service ticket for the user for a predefined list of services specified by their service principal. So in this case, it's similar, but instead of sending the TGT, you're sending a TGS over to it. I'm in your base taking your ticket. No, Pale, it's my ticket. So, and then here's the one that really like messes with a lot of folks, which is resource-based constraint delegation. Similar to constraint delegation, except the direction of the constraint is reversed. It specifies who is allowed to delegate to a service rather than who the service is allowed to delegate to. So Let me bring this one back up here. So both constrained and unconstrained go from like server to server in here. So server A to server B, and the unconstrained portion is set on the server over here, server B, right? Unconstrained or role-based constrained delegation says allowed to delegate to server B for a particular service principal right here. And then now server B can actually come in here and say, yeah, okay, I'm now allowed to act, or server B has it configured saying, I'm allowed to act on behalf of another identity, which is server A. So the configuration for it has to be over on server B right here. Let me check something real quick, because I know there's a better way to check this. I could have just clicked on it. I didn't have to scroll up and down. Let's see. Bloodhound check for RBCD. I gotta remember what the check is for that. Ah, here we go. Yeah. So this is what this will do is look for any source machine. This is just the identifier. So they'll name this as U in here. But allowed to act on behalf to some computer and then return the full path. So the full path is defined here. So hang on. Let me go check this real fast. I should not be so rusty on my delegations. I just haven't had to use them in so long. I've been working on so many other projects. Okay, I don't think that's the one I want here. Let me see if this one will yield what I want. This one is basically doing the same thing with a whole bunch of different edges to it. So generic write, generic all, write DACL, write owner, owns, or write account restrictions to some computer. But also what it's doing is, since we specified this U parameter here, it's saying, by the way, use object ID cannot end with 512, basically being don't be any of these like highly privileged user accounts in here. There we go. That just told us Sunfire has write account restrictions on root. Hang on, there was a... Hold on, there was a tool that would go search for this. Oh yeah, it's an impacket tool. Hang on one second. Let me see. Yeah, I forgot Impacket actually had a tool for this. Let's see. It should be like find delegations. Did I... You're supposed to be running better now. I think so. I think I put it into tools. Is that where I was running Impacket from? I gotta remember. Yeah, we should have Impacket installed in here. Like, that's where we had, like, get TGT. There it is. I don't know why it didn't show up in the find complete earlier. So find delegation we can set this up to use Sunfire or root. We have Sunfire's password, so we could just do that. Let me go bring that up. So what we could do is we could use Sunfire or root. In fact, I'll tell you what, we'll use root because it's in the account that can actually do it. We could use Sunfire. We'll just go ahead and use root though. So what we want to do is we want to go find the delegations that are available for that. And I believe we actually just need to give it our user parameters right here. This actually may work, may not work. I think it will work because Windows should actually go through and automatically search for the $. Oh, I had a typo in it. Because I'm an idiot. Let me go fix that real fast. For some reason, it worked earlier. Like last Saturday when we were going through this. There we go. Save that. Invalid credentials? What? What? Let me try wrapping it. Always wrap it. Don't be a fool. Wrap your tools. Did I copy it wrong? Hang on. Oh, you know why? It's because it should be root dollar. That's what it is. Yeah. We did it with root specifically earlier when we were doing this. Because it was part of the trick to get the root shell over onto Cyrax by confusing the root dollar account with the root account in there. This is where all the graybeards hang out. If not, I'll be moving on. Actually, I was just joking that I looked up at OBS and my beard is actually way redder than it should be. I don't know why. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, I can't adjust the filters, I think, while it's live. Let me see something real quick. No, it's not being applied there. I don't know why it looks so red in there. Ah, there we go. I can kind of see it now. I think the saturation. Oh, it's so light there. Now it's all red. We're getting disco funky. Look at that. Look at that. Sorry, did not mean to get distracted. There you go. I think that's more akin to what the actual color of my beard is. Maybe. I don't know. I'll mess with it later. Turn the saturation up to 200%. I know, right? I think that's what happens. I think the color's oversaturated and it's making the red in my beard, like, pop. Oh, I just noticed something in here. I think I completely... Well, I'm not sure. Actually, I have to go... Let me go double check something real quick. Because what we're seeing is Cyrax has some delegation permissions in here. Ah, hey, there it is. I completely missed it. So, allowed to delegate to, this is where, http http://erix.dracarys.lab, right here. And so Erix is not a live machine. So these are dangling SPNs that are just kind of hanging out here. So we're going to use that as part of this pivot process in here. Hang on, let me bring back Elad's setup here. Yeah, so the main thing here is, for this port, the resource-based constrained delegation is that it's very similar to the constrained delegation, that it's only permitting access to particular services, but the direction of that constraint gets reversed. So now server B has to have where it's actually configured to be set up in here. So let's look at this setting the stage. So suppose there's 3 servers in an environment, servers A, B, and C. Server A is configured with constrained delegation to a certain SPN. The attacker compromised server A and the account not admin, which has write SPN rights on a computer or service account in that environment. So here's our not admin. We've compromised it. it has write SPN over to these three machines. It has admin to server A, and it has write SPN to server B and server C right here. I was going to ask who that Eric's guy was. So yeah, those are dangling service principal names on that box. And so they should have been removed when it. And so maybe it was an old box that they've decommissioned and properly deleted the account in here. So one thing that will trip you up if you're not familiar with looking at these, right? We ran the cipher query in here. Let's see. Let me redo this real quick. So like we ran a cipher query in here that said basically match computers, right? And then return C, which will give you a list of all the machine accounts in this environment, right? So horrible one to run, especially if it's in a large environment here. But when we're looking at this, these machines might not necessarily be online. These are just leftovers dangling. Yeah, leftover garbage, exactly. So they've gone through and they did the proper step where Eric's isn't in here, but they forgot to remove the resource-based constraint delegation off of Cyrax in here. So Cyrax is allowed to accept impersonations as that user. I thought I had this drilled so thoroughly into my head, I would never have to go back and recheck my notes. So anyway, so coming back over to this is our current scenario right here, right? We compromised not admin, and it has write SPN to server B and server C, right? So if we come down here, so the first scenario is the simplest one. Server A is configured for constraint delegation to an SPN previously associated with a computer or service account that no longer exists. So it could be the standard SPN, such as CIFS or hostname, associated with the deleted computer. So basically, this guy is allowed to delegate over to a ghost machine right here, which is kind of the scenario that we are currently in, right? Allowed to delegate to something that doesn't exist anymore. I'm sure that's by design and probably somewhat realistic in corp environments. Probably, dude. A lot of the stuff that I abuse in Microsoft environments whenever I'm in them is all stuff that's not, they'd say it's not a bug, it's a feature, right? Ah, there we go. Should have done that at the beginning. So in this scenario, what can happen here is, because we're admin to this, he's allowed to delegate. We have write SPN over to, let's say, server C, right? We got this ghost account. So in this scenario, the attacker can add that affected the affected SPN over to server C, and then run a full S4U attack. So that's service for user, if I remember correctly, to server A's account and obtain the service ticket for a privileged user over to service C, right here. Boop. So the service for that, the service name of the ticket would not be valid for accessing server C because the host name wouldn't match, and the service class might be useless. However, the important thing is that the ticket is encrypted for service C. So the service name is not the encrypted part of the ticket, so the attacker can change that to a valid one. So finally, the attacker can pass that ticket to the compromised server C. So here's the actual flow of it. So not admin from server A server A is allowed to delegate to HTTP ghost, that dead machine that's in there, right? So what they say is not admin has write SPN permission. So you write that SPN over to server C. You send that to the domain controller. Basically, it doesn't actually exist on server C itself. It exists in the domain controller. But then everything that happens because of that affects what happens on server C. Then does an S4U to self request for an admin over the domain controller, gets a service ticket for the admin to server A. Boop, just like this. Then does an S4U to proxy request for a service ticket for the admin to HTTP ghost, and he's going to use the service ticket that he obtained from this previous step for the admin here. Then that service ticket for the admin to HTTP Ghost, because it's allowed to act on behalf of him, comes back. We swap out HTTP Ghost to some other SPN because that part of the ticket isn't encrypted. And then now we're impersonating that admin with that modified ticket over to server C right here. Why am I scrolling? I could just do this. I'm an idiot. So this is the attack. Unfortunately, we're out of time for tonight, but this is the attack path we're going to run through tomorrow night. So I'm going to leave the lab up. That was really well timed, actually. I'm going to leave the lab up, and what we'll do is we're going to run through this attack tomorrow night. And so it'll be a lot of like bouncing around for Kerberos tickets. But here's the main plan. Let's run through it one more time. Server A is allowed to delegate to Ghost, right? So what we do is we say, okay, we're going to add that Ghost over to server C where we had the right SPN permissions, right? I should say correct. So then what we'll do is we're going to do an S4U to self for an admin ticket. When that service ticket for the admin comes back over onto server A, then we're going to use S4U to proxy to request a service ticket for the admin to that HTTP Ghost SPN. The domain controller is going to say, yeah, you got that permission because of the role-based constraint delegation. No problem. So then we get a ticket for admin, which that part's encrypted, to HTTP Ghost SPN, which is not encrypted. Then when that comes back, we just swap out the SPN over to like the actual service we want to connect to. And then now we're impersonating that admin account over to server C. Bam. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Oh, Bobby, it is hilarious that it works. And I don't know what was going on in Microsoft's brain. You can't even blame it on the AI slot because it's been doing this for, God, when did Active Directory implement role-based constrained delegation? I want to say it was around server 2012. Yeah, server 2012. So, I mean, it's been like this for a minute. Now, the bad thing is, prior to this, there was unconstrained delegation. Let's see. Unconstrained delegation. And because unconstrained delegation was the original thing right there. Windows Server 2000. So, a minute ago.
A pewter for Christmas?
Yes, Mommy did buy me a pewter for Christmas. So yeah, this was because of like something called the Kerberos double hop problem. So they addressed it in Windows Server 2000, but it was really, really, it worked, but it wasn't a good solution, right? So then later they came out with constrained delegation that allowed you to focus it down rather than sending TGTs, you're sending TGSs. So limit the blast radius. Then finally they came out with role-based constrained delegation. But I think that's when they actually had to have the S4U to proxy. I think that's when that was added. So, yeah, it's been an evolution of them trying to like patchwork stuff in and then fixing that, but also like adding new attack methods because of it. So, whole lot of fun there. Like I said, unfortunately, I've got to call it a night there. And InfoSec streams is showing a whole lot of nothing happening, which I know is false. So let's go see who's online. By the way, over on Twitch, if you've got raid suggestions, feel free to go ahead and shout them out. Let's see who we can find. Let me see who's here. Dude, Tyler's on. That's perfect. Hang on. Let me see who else is on, because we did raid Tyler last time. Let's see. No one else I can really see on that's doing anything super awesome. Actually, hold on. You know what? Griffin is on, and he's doing his 8-year stream anniversary. And Griffin he's a very cool developer, super smart guy. And so let's go support him for his 8-year streaming anniversary. Damn, I didn't know he's been doing this for 8 years. That's wild. So yeah, I'm going to set that up. Do me a favor, when you get over there, drop a bunch of Hack the Planets and Happy Hackers. Unfortunately, because that is where I need to wrap it up. I'm trying to thoroughly unscrew up my sleep schedule. I can't stay on and do like a 4-hour stream. But we'll go on this tonight. We'll do the SPN jacking. Do a little bit of jacking in here, you know, jack it real good. And we'll have some fun time with it. We'll do some Kerberos.
Avimac cheered 67 bits and says, "Oh shit, the date for me in EST is live, LUL."
I'm glad you're happy, Bobby. All right, guys, that's where I got to wrap it up. You guys have a fantastic night. Remember, tomorrow is Sunday. That is the tactical retreat day. Spend time with your friends and family. Rebuild your resources so you can have a good crushing it mode with critical hits, Nats 20s on Monday. I'll catch up with y'all tomorrow night. We'll do some jacking, a little bit of spin jacking, and have a good time. I want all of y'all to get some rest, spend time with your friends and family, and remember one very important thing. Well, two things. One, when you get over to Griffin's stream, drop a bunch of happy hackers and hack the planets. And two, I love you. Peace.